All right, welcome to episode 4 of the Chiefs Throne Room podcast. This week I'm joined by my brother and my dad this week. So it's actually the first live podcast filming that we've had since COVID. I'm going to let them talk about a little bit with their experience, but I'm going to get Zach to go first because I feel like dad's is going to be a little bit longer, seeing as he's been here longer.
Hey, not wrong.
All right, Zach, if you want to talk about your experience, it's pretty similar to mine, seeing as we grew up with
Yeah.
it, but
I mean, it's just kind of always been like in our house for the most part. Kind of always grew up with it around, and where there's little like action figures of like collectibles that Dad had, or promo stuff from episode 1. I think that was the first one that came out since I was born.
we had a lot of that promo stuff for
We had
episode
a
1.
lot, we had a lot more for episode 3 too.
A lot of that came from Walmart, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
it's when
I
you
thought it
worked
was
at Walmart.
pre-Walmart, like, because you were getting the action figures was during Walmart. Because when did the merch start coming out? I think it was '98.
actually, it was 97, 98.
Yeah, it was when they were doing the big push for it because
Yeah.
it came out in '99.
Yeah, and I was working at Walmart in 2000.
Yeah, so it was just
Oh, okay.
But yeah, then I mean, I've watched all the movies dozens of times. Played, I think, most of the games, if not all the games. I don't know how to read, so I don't read the books. And I don't like audiobooks, so I don't know too much about that. But
most of
I've read Spark Notes on most of the stuff. But yeah, that's me.
That's it? Wow, that's in depth.
You know,
a solid 2 minutes there.
yeah, I know how to fill a podcast.
So what do you want to know?
Well, just like your experience with Star Wars and
Well, because I'm old, like I grew up with Star Wars, and I was in the theater in '77. I was 8 years old, and so that started, when there was no Star Wars. It was just who's George Lucas and what's going on. And so my uncle, I think it was my uncle, took us to the theater in Edmonton, and I was hooked. I remember having nightmares that Darth Vader was going to come and take over my room, So, and then I've always been a Star Wars fan, like growing up and all throughout my adult life. I'm a science fiction fan, so, and to be fair, Star Trek started it because my dad was a Star Trek fan in the '70s, and so was the original series. And then when Star Wars came along, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And so, yeah, so we just kind of went on from there.
how was it with the Trekkies and the Star Wars fans battling it out? Because that was the height of that.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember too much because I was 8 and 9, but I remember in the '80s when I think it was '82 when Jedi came out. Is it '82, Andrew? Yeah,
Jedi was '83.
'83. There was a lot more back and forth because Star Trek: The Motion Picture actually had come out in '80, so it correspond. No, it was '79. And then in '80, the episode 5 was that Return, or the Empire was out, and so there was this back and forth between Star Trek and Star Wars, and then '82, Wrath of Khan came out, and then in '83, '84 is when Return of the Jedi came out. So it was almost like Star Wars or Star Trek had the hand up, but Star Wars was a much better series. Like, it's our dog in the background. So, but I remember, when I was 16, I went to Star Trek 4, the whale, the one about the whales. I got tickets.
Star Trek Free Willy.
Yeah, Star Trek Free Willy. Pretty much. Anyway, I got free tickets to the premiere, and I was like so excited, and none of my friends would go with me. And so I went by myself, and then I realized that there was an entire world out there that I had no clue, because there was guys dressed up it was cosplay, but it wasn't cosplay back then. It was just like geeks dressing up in Star Trek uniforms. And I remember there was one kid there who was critiquing the entire movie. He was sitting close to me. He had his manuals on how to speak Vulcan and how to do all this stuff. And they're like, actually, that's not true. They can't. And I was like, I looked at him. I'm like, shut the hell up. He's like, oh, sorry. And I was like, and I'm 16, right? I just like, I was
I'm just here to
wanting,
enjoy the
like,
movie.
yeah, I just want to have fun with the movie. So, and then when I remember when Return of the Jedi came out, there was a big push to have all three movies shown in the theaters. And so I was 13 or 14, and I got to watch all three movies in the theater again. And it was a friend of mine, and he had an in with one of the theaters, and his friend worked there or something, so he snuck us in the morning, and we watched Star Wars Episode 4, and then and then Empire, and then we were just dumbfounded with Return of the Jedi, and so yeah. Anyway,
Fun.
that was yeah.
Because Return of the Jedi came out in '83, so there's a huge gap in between that and Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah.
So like I know just from because I would get your hand-me-downs with the books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When did you start reading the books? And because I mean, I guess Splinter of the Mind's Eye came out, but then I guess really it was Heir to the Empire with
Yeah,
Thrawn.
I think those were the one. That was the series that I really picked up on. When did Thrawn come out? Like, when
I
did
think it was '88. I have to check.
You have to check that because that seems a bit early for me. Like maybe I discovered the books later. Maybe not. Honestly, I don't remember, but I
91.
So it wasn't okay. So yeah. So at that point, I was 21. Yeah, and I was reading a lot of the novels. So Timothy Zahn was amazing, and I was like, with these characters and the writing, and I was hooked. And then I went into the whole Yuzon Vong War, but that was later on.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for those as much. I didn't
A lot of people didn't because of the whole Chewie thing.
Yeah, and that's what got me. Like, what? Chewie just got crushed by a
In
moon?
the first book.
It's like they can't do that. I was reading this going, no, you can't do that.
You can't kill Chewie.
You can't kill Chewie. So there are some things about the restructuring and whether it's canon or not that I like. The fact that the Yuzon Vong didn't make it in the canon.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Vong being in there, but they need to rework it seriously because it didn't make sense to have a species outside of the Force. That kind of went against George Lucas's.
And I liked, and honestly, I liked the character because I liked the tension that it created in I can't remember the characters. Was it Jason Solo that was, yeah.
Yeah.
So in those books, I liked how they were building tension and they were creating, a new world. But yeah, that was just one part that I didn't. And I read all the Rogue One books. I think that's when I started handing them down to you.
Yeah, because that is that, and the ones after the Vong War, I think it was like New Republic, that they're called, or something like that. New Alliance or something. It's one where Jason Solo turns to the dark side.
Yeah. So yeah,
fun.
So and I enjoyed it, and I actually read them because it was way before the days of audiobooks.
Audiobooks are the godsend. I would be so far behind in Star Wars because I just don't have time nor to want to read. Was it last year, Zach, we went to Celebration? When was Celebration?
2019.
2019. So
yeah, it's 2019.
Oh no, 19. Yeah.
So 2019, because that was
we were gonna go 2020, and then
it got canceled. Yeah. So
freaking cancel
culture. Everybody wants to cancel everything.
I know that was your first con and stuff like that. We talked a little bit at dinner with the food we ate and stuff like that. But how was that with going to your first con and meeting, like actually interacting with people that you were thought are very strange?
Yeah, I mean it was less weird than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
like I was expecting like
overweight people in spandex suits, which there were. There was a lot of
30-year-old overweight guys wearing slave Leia costumes,
which was funny. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh!
And then there was,
and they knew it.
Yeah, and then there was like fat Kylo Ren. He was just like probably like this 280-pound guy walking around in a way too small Kylo Ren costume. But no, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of walking.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Andrew's, if you don't know, Andrew's very cheap, and he expected me and Angela, the other guy we were with, to walk an hour each way every day.
Yeah.
And me and Angela would much rather pay
It was
$5 for an
Just a
Uber.
few blocks.
That was fine. I was on a budget. I was.
Yeah, but it also what he doesn't say is it dumped snow one of the days,
That was
and
fine.
we all only had running shoes because we didn't think to bring winter shoes
No, I had
to Chicago in April.
I had my boots.
Sure, nobody else did.
You know what really blew my mind was that you, Andrew, were in Andorra studying.
Europe.
And-
It's a place in Europe for those that don't understand.
Yeah,
and nobody knows where Andorra is.
Yeah, it's in the Pyrenees Mountains between France and Spain, and he was there for a semester, but he had already purchased his celebration tickets, and I'm like, there's no way you're gonna go. You're not gonna spend that much money to fly halfway around the world, and just for a weekend.
For Star Wars. Yeah, a
weekend.
For Star Wars.
A long weekend,
Yeah,
but a week.
yeah, but a week. And he's like, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna.
Well,
I'm not gonna miss this. And I was like, okay. And he did. And it was like jet lag. And then Zach flew out to Chicago from where were you home?
He was at
yeah,
home.
I was home.
Yeah,
I
you were
just
home,
finished
so-
college.
And he was like, we're not going to go. We're not going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're doing
I
this.
think he was hoping that they wouldn't go and they would cash in their tickets, but it was I was like, okay, there's some hardcore man here. Like, what have I created? Because all of this Star Wars, like Andrew is who he is today because when he was a kid, I introduced him to Star Wars.
Yeah,
And-
first real movie I ever watched was
Yeah.
New
So
Hope.
was it
New Hope when I was 3.
you were 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, but no, I think it's good. Star Wars has been an amazing fantasy outlet, and I think you can see that throughout the world and through with Celebration. That's all these geeky guys and whether men and women who it's an amazing way of letting off steam and kind of being someone you're not. It's a great world. It's fun. So anyway, Celebration for you. Sorry, I just put it in there.
It's awesome.
I just remember when I crossed the border, because like the 3 past times I went to cross the border, I had gotten issues because of my visa from previous years that didn't cancel or whatever. And this guy is like, "Oh, where are you going? Chicago?" He's like, "What for?" I'm like, Star Wars convention. He looks at me and he just like hands me a passport. He's like, "Have fun." I'm like, "Thank you."
I shouldn't be here.
It's like, what am I? I've never felt so out of place, like even like just in general.
I have a
I'm like I refuse to wear any kind of like merch. Like I'm not gonna wear a Star Wars T-shirt. I'm just gonna wear my
I have
normal like Adidas sweater and jeans and
Yeah, well, and that's
Adidas
another.
shoes.
You're like, I'm just gonna wear Adidas and stuff like that. I'm like, I make Adidas Star Wars stuff. And he
No,
goes,
they don't.
No, they don't. And literally, we sit down on a panel, and the guy in front of us is wearing an Adidas Star Wars shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's like a
see?
special like Adidas brand. So I'm like, what the
Oh.
frick is this?
I'm like, see, it's right there.
But there was a lot less like I don't know. I could probably count on like one hand how many like
Weird.
like cringe moments
Yeah.
there were.
And honestly, those are funny.
Funny, but like, and then some of the people who were like just entitled because they couldn't like jump to the front of the line, and he has like the standard badge that everybody else has.
Yeah.
He's like, I paid to be here, and the poor like volunteer
Lanky
workers
white
just
dude.
like, yeah, okay, you can wait in the back with everybody else.
Yeah, this person probably doesn't even know what Star Wars is. They're like, we're just begging bait. There was the one guy when we went to the Galaxy of Heroes booth.
He had a notebook
He had a
of critiques of the game.
And
that
these
he
are the
wanted them to
developers of the
change.
game. So we're just sitting.
I think
like-
it was the community manager.
Yeah, we're
at the
talking
time.
to. He's still a community manager.
Or he's one of the community
Yeah.
managers now.
We're talking to the community manager of Galaxy of Heroes, and just talking about the game, talking about Star Wars, talking about life, kind of thing.
Because when Malik had just gotten
Malik just came out, and this guy comes up in full. He said it was Luke Skywalker in a rebel outfit, but it looked more like a
Trash collector.
it looked. You know what it looked like? It looked like the SNL skit with Adam Driver,
Yeah, like,
Like,
he was too tall
Matt-
and too lanky. To
Matt
be
the
a rebel
radar
pilot.
technician. That's what it looked like. He's like, I'm Luke Skywalker.
But he had like the X-wing helmet with like the visor down
and a wig underneath. And he pulls out this notebook.
Yeah, and he had a blonde wig underneath.
And he pulls out this notebook being like, So this is what I don't like about
And this
the
is
game.
after like 20 minutes of talk. He's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is great. Pulls out this notebook. He's like, so I just have some ideas.
Oh
We're
my
like,
gosh.
The next-
we're just like, oh.
Ooh. The next day we come up to Crumb. That was his community manager name or whatever, and we're like, oh, so did you get him many more notebooks? He goes, man, that was crazy.
And I think we saw the guy the next day, and he was in like a different costume,
Yeah.
but he was at the same booth. Like,
Yeah, with
his notebook,
his notebook, being like, this is
talking
what I
to
hate.
another person.
Wow.
But no, overall it was fun. I mean, getting to see like Clone Wars stuff early for season 7.
Because I think you've said that Clone Wars is one of your favorite TV shows.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they first announced it at San Diego Comic-Con that it was coming back, you freaked out. Because I texted you and I'm like, guess what? You're like,
You
well,
sent me like the trailer.
and you're like, oh my god, no way!
No, I mean prequel stuff in general is
Well, that's because
what I grew up with.
that's what
so.
that was the first movie. I think the first movie you saw in theaters was Revenge of the Sith. Because
Which
the
is
first
why
one I saw
which is
was
why it's
Attack
my
of the Clones.
favorite Star Wars movie.
Because I remember we were camping, and like you told me at camping that after we get home from camping, we're gonna go see Attack of the Clones, and I'm like, no way!
How old were
I
you?
got- I got
6?
told I was bad.
It came out in 2001 or 2002.
2002, I think.
2002.
Yeah, so you're 6 or 7.
6 or
Around
7.
the time. Because you were born in 95. So.
And it was a summer movie at the time, so it came out in May.
And I had to sit at home.
Yeah, you know, as a
it was
parent-
too violent for me there, and
Yeah,
even though I had
You were-
seen every
okay,
other Star Wars movie.
Honestly, though, you were so sensitive. You were so sensitive as a kid that we were really trying to protect you because things would affect you.
Star Wars is different.
But Star Wars is different, I know. So we're not even get into the whole Call of Duty thing. So,
Oh, jeez.
anyway,
what?
was it? Wouldn't let him. What?
Just violent games in general, like
Yeah, not Call of Duty.
Halo.
Halo.
Halo,
Anything
which-
rated T.
which immediately made me want to like gravitate towards that
Oh,
stuff.
totally. But anyway, let's just take back to Star Wars. We're not going to go over my failures as a father. So, oh man.
Chicago was great. Hot dogs are good.
Man, Chicago dogs are like something else.
Even
Well-
like the cheap $3 ones from the convention center.
You guys came back from convention and our celebration, and well, I didn't see you, but Zach came back, and I was like, I felt really bummed that I missed out. And Andrew gave me the opportunity to go. It's like, Dad, you want to do this? I'm like, it's in Chicago. How much is it going to cost? And you know, and it costs a lot. But so when they get back, they're like, we should go next year. It's going to be in Anaheim. And I'm like, I'm in. I'm down.
Because after
So-
seeing all the pictures of
like
the
I've
food,
seen all
and
the
all-
pictures of the food, and I love LA, and
Yeah, and it was like right. It was supposed to be like right at Disneyland.
and
pretty
so we were
much.
like, we
Yeah.
could make a whole
A lot more.
week out of it.
we were gonna do Disneyland and then Galaxy's Edge. Was that?
Yeah.
And then Andrew wanted to do the whole lightsaber building thing, and he was gonna do 2, and he's gonna create his own. And we're like, it cost you like $500.
And I'm like, yup.
Bring a separate suitcase just to bring merch
Just
back.
merch, and we're all just excited, and we were gonna take, Mom was gonna come with Maddie, and they were gonna go shopping over it. It was gonna be like a big family thing, and then COVID,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, that's
And Andrew kept the dream up until the
The very end, I'm like,
It was like July. He's like, no, it's happening.
No, it's gonna
happening. Meanwhile, California is on like full lockdown. Their governor's like, nobody's coming in. Nobody's
I'm like,
leaving.
it's right.
I gotta have hope. I gotta have hope.
And then they finally sent the email. Andrew's like, I think it still might happen.
Still got the tickets.
Yeah, Andrew and I initially bought the tickets, and Andrew.
Well, and you're like, I'm gonna refund them. I'm like, no, I'll buy them off you. I'm gonna save them for next time.
So you have them still for
Well,
next time,
technically, I have them.
Technically, but I have.
Yeah,
There's
That's
no
it.
way to transfer, but,
Yeah.
but
but it's not
Because-
until 2022.
but he bought us out, and he's holding on.
I'm
Yeah.
holding on. That's $750 or whatever. That's
So
fine.
we'll see. Maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go again.
One
But,
thing about Chicago is I'm pretty sure I was the only one who came back without buying any merch.
oh,
I thought you considered buying.
I considered, I don't know what.
It was a. I think it was socks.
That's all I consider. Everything
think it
else
was-
I brought back was like free merch. Like,
Yeah, because we got a
posters
lot
and
of free stuff.
pins and-
well, there's a ton of free stuff. Andrew was the one who was poor, and you probably spent like $200 or $300 on.
You brought a bunch of his
No, I
stuff
almost
home.
bought that that Darth Vader Lego head
Right,
because that was
you're
for the sole purpose of
flipping it, yeah.
But then
And because I bought 2, one
Yeah.
for me, one to flip.
but I
and-
wouldn't have a way to bring. I didn't.
You still have it?
I didn't
Uh-huh.
bring
You
a
haven't flipped it
suitcase,
yet.
so.
No, I'm gotta wait a couple years.
Wow.
Immediately after Celebration, I bought it for 40 US, and right now it's up to 250. Last I checked.
Wow, it's like GameStop. You should
Yeah,
Should've
this is the one I've invested in
invested
right
in,
away.
like, Darth Vader heads.
I knew from the beginning. I'm like, Lego's like gold, so like,
Well, that's what's one of the things that I did when Phantom Menace came out, is that I tried to buy all of the action figures, and I still have them. What is that? 20? Is it 25 years
Episode
yet?
1, wasn't it?
Episode 1. So, and I got most of them.
well,
So they're
Celebration was the 20th anniversary.
oh, okay. So 2022, yeah, 22 years now. So they're sitting downstairs in a box, and I'm just waiting to see if they're gonna do anything, right?
Is that the ones that had the little like cartridges?
Yeah,
that
no,
you could
we-
have like the voice.
Yeah, they
We
had
had
a
the,
communicate, like it had a communicator.
Yeah,
type thing.
I had that, and you could scan it, and it would
You
play their
touch it,
voice or
and it would
whatever.
touch Misa, Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
So
And then there was the Pepsi cans that we had until
Oh.
we like moved.
well, we moved, and I didn't realize. I didn't realize you should have opened them. I thought, no, they're going to be collectible with the pop inside, and then they're
People are gonna be
downstairs.
all over it.
They're gonna be all
Meanwhile, you
over it.
open it,
And
it's
meanwhile, it
sludge.
was like they had burst in the basement, and so they all just got thrown out because I didn't even get the whole series. But the action figures are down there.
Yep.
So if anybody's listening and they want to buy a complete set of
So,
Menace.
100 grand and they're yours.
yeah, that's right.
just give me 100 grand in GameStop's.
Stops.
Or Bitcoin. Give me 2 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, merch is big. I mean, your room is
My room is full of Lego.
It's like
I
full on.
I just have
Mine is not.
I have to stick with Lego, or else I would be bankrupt.
That's right.
Like I get questions like, why don't you get action figures and stuff like that? I'm like, can't afford that.
Can't afford
You have a
that.
couple, but
I have a couple, but not. I don't go out of my way for them.
No.
There's people that go nuts for them. Ellie, what are you doing?
She's sniffing. She looks like she's circling to go pee.
What now with Disney taking over? What are you guys looking forward to? And I guess because I mean we all have our gripes with the sequel trilogy. We enjoyed them because they're Star Wars, but
Yeah, there's so much that went wrong. I mean, the first one, I know you said, what are we looking forward to? But the first movie, the last
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, thank you. There was some really good stuff in it, and I thought, oh, they're taking a really good track here. But then all of a sudden, it looked like, wow, I've seen this before, and it was The New Hope, right? And they recreated
the feeling, but not
the feeling and the characters even,
Well, they took the safe way.
and they just kind of cancel culture did it kind of. It was just
Cancel
like,
culture took effect for episode 8.
oh yeah. I mean,
Not my
totally.
Luke Skywalker.
This is not my. Yeah.
That's the
So when Disney took over, and then we both, and I think you said this in your first podcast, Andrew, like you thought right at the beginning, this is a good thing.
this is a great
And all the fans were going, this sucks, and Disney's going to kill it. And I have to admit, I was part of that for a while. And then until I saw what they were actually doing, and they could pour the money in, and they could create really good quality product, and still keep George Lucas kind of in it. And but then when Dave Filoni came in,
stayed in, I guess.
yeah. And then now with Mandalorian and Jon Favreau, I mean, he's amazing. Like the creativity in that guy, I'm like shocked all the time with what he does. So what I'm looking forward to now coming up, I think the most is, I don't know. There's so much.
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that one. I'm thinking. I like the cartoon ones. Like I like some of the cartoon series. Well, yeah, Bad Batch I think is one. I think the Obi-Wan movie is
Or
my
series.
next. Oh, it's
Yeah, it's a 6-episode like miniseries.
right. So I think that one I'm really looking forward to. And then what's the movie?
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, because I love the books for Rogue Squadron, and I thought if they're gonna keep any of the characters or
Get
if they're
Wedge
gonna
back in.
get Wedge, yeah. So those are my kind of like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to those. when I saw the trailer for Rogue One, I was like, this-
Rogue Squadron. Rogue
sorry,
One. Rogue
sorry,
One. is-
yeah, sorry, Rogue Squadron.
Rogue One was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron. When I saw that trailer or the teaser, I was like, oh,
And I like Patty Jenkins. Like she makes
Yeah.
good movies.
so
Okay, one thing on the whole sequel thing. I can't remember if it was said on a previous podcast of yours or if it was on a different
Well, general,
podcast. But I feel like Disney just made them because they knew they had to.
Yeah.
Like it was like everyone was expecting 7, 8, 9 to happen, so they just kind of like pushed it through to make fans happy. And
They
now
did.
that, and they did, and they didn't make them happy. But but now they've kind of got a relatively clean slate to kind of do what they want, and
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of the original plan. All
Well,
along.
now they've got a 32-year gap in between
Yeah,
Force
and they've
Awakens,
got
and they can do
and they've
whatever
got all
they
the High
like to.
Republic stuff they can work on.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mando kind of blew up. I think relatively bigger than most people thought it would.
I don't even know if Disney really realized what they were creating. Like it was so well done, but I don't know if they thought, okay, this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Which one, Mando or
Mando, like the Mando series, like the 2 seasons of Mando, like when they first started Mandalorian, I don't
Nobody
know if
really knew what to.
nobody, yeah, it was
I was in.
I mean, everybody who knew like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, like Clone Wars fans, knew that we were getting
Yeah.
what we were
something
getting.
big.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
casual Star Wars fans, are like, oh, it's Jango Fett.
yeah, yeah,
Because I
Boba
mean,
Fett.
when we were at Celebration, we got in on the raffle to get at the panel for Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and so we got to see 15 minutes of footage behind
From
that.
the
And,
first episode.
Yeah.
and me and Zach walked out of that. We're like, this is gonna be
Best
something.
panel ever.
That we're like, this is gonna be something special. This is gonna
Yeah.
be something cool. And like
Totally.
everybody, I was like evangelizing the whole like. I'm like, they were like, what are you like concerned about Mandalorian because of the reception of Episode 8 or whatever? I'm like, this is
No.
gonna be the greatest Star Wars. Like,
yeah.
it's gonna usher in a golden
But
age.
it seems like there's like we have friends that are kind of Star Wars fans. I'm thinking of Brian Kathleen, that they launched into Mandalorian, and they're watching it as a couple, and they're
Which is
not
awesome.
huge.
Which is awesome. That's the
They're not
best.
huge Star Wars fans.
Which is the best part about Mandalorian. You can jump in at any point.
Totally.
Well, and Mandalorian was so much more than just like shooting people and
Oh, it's
like-
like the
and
father
they
and
kinda
son
took-
story.
and
which,
they for the most part they kind of took Jedi out of it, obviously until a couple episodes in season 2.
Yeah.
But that was
and you
understandable and it
kind of
made
had to. I
sense.
mean,
Yeah.
Mandalorian's a mortal enemy of the Jedi at some point.
Yeah.
So
But anyway, back to what I'm excited about Disney. Obi-Wan is probably number 1, but Obi-Wan's been my favorite character for pretty much ever. The Acolyte is
the Acolyte,
very
I'm
interesting
so
to me
excited
just
about that.
because
So is that Darth Malak Revan?
No,
No,
that's like
it's the end of the High Republic era, but it's a dark side story.
Oh,
So
right,
it's
right,
probably-
right.
leading into Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So like, there's
Where's it,
theories
50 years.
50 years before
There's
Phantom
theories
Menace
that it's Plagueis.
that it's a female lead. So I'm not sure if that means that's going to be a female Sith, or if it's going to be Plagueis training Palpatine, and then they find out about Plagueis and Palpatine or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I'm in. I want a dark side story. That's something we've been missing. But
Yeah.
we got a lot of that in Legends, but not right
Um,
now.
Ahsoka looks good from what they've said. I mean, because it looks like they're kind of converging Mando, Rangers of the New Republic, or they've said they're all kind of like meeting in the middle.
Avengers.
Yeah, or Defenders.
Hmm.
Probably like,
Yeah, but
I
this
mean,
is
I
Disney,
think
so
the
it's going to be
popular-
a huge budget on it.
oh yeah. But I think the popular theory is that they're meeting up for Thrawn.
Yeah, Thrawn doing an heir to the Empire, but in canon, which
Yeah.
cool.
Well, it's almost like Disney practiced the whole concept with the Marvel Universe, and they had how many years did they take to finish that?
Well, I don't think it really got good until Phase 3.
Yeah,
Like Phase 1 was okay until only the only ones that were like, this is awesome were Iron Man and Avengers. But everything in between was like,
Yeah.
it's okay,
good.
And then you
It's
had
okay.
like Winter Soldier,
which is awesome.
which
but
is one of the best ones.
and that was after Avengers.
Yeah.
Um,
And the
then
Hulk
once-
movies.
The one Hulk movie.
But then they started ramping up all the.
But they
Yeah,
progressively got better, and they kind of
Well, they got
worked
weird,
this-
and they got weird with it. Like
Yeah.
bringing Taika Waititi in for Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And then that's
Because people were losing interest in Thor, so they
Yeah.
were like, "Okay, we got to pull a full 180 here and
But my
change
point
up.
is they practiced on it, and it seems like now with the Star Wars universe, they know what works, and they know what kind of money needs to go into it. They know what kind of writing needs to go into
And how
it.
much freedom they got to
And
give
how
them.
much, yeah,
How much freedom they got to give their
And
directors.
the directors.
planning.
A little, yeah.
And
They've
planning.
built
At least,
Absolutely.
a little bit of a roadmap. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
have the broad strokes or the
Well, like
twisting curves,
basic
but like the
storyboard.
arc.
You
Just
need
Yeah.
like
the
a
arc.
basic idea of where you want to go.
I mean, and that's I think what happened. Like obviously with episodes 4, 5, and 6, George Lucas, he had the plan. He knew what he wanted to do, and he had a three movie plan story. And then ultimately, I remember reading, I think it was in a comic or something, that there was originally nine movies planned,
Yep.
and C-3PO and R2 were the only characters in the entire 9 that converged, like they crossed over. And then that obviously changed a little bit, but there was a plan. 4, 5, and 6 had a plan. 7, 8, 9.
Kind of fell off.
It
Then.
just
like I.
What are we gonna do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Oh, let's try this. Oh,
It was like they had a plan for their own movies, and then they had to go off the next one. So Ryan Johnson did his thing, and then they dropped Colin Trevorrow, which is not a bad thing, and brought back JJ, and he's like,
what do I do?
we're
with
gonna do
this?
this.
Because
Yeah.
Palpatine's JJ had in his mind where he wanted to go after he finished episode 7, but then
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson kind of did his thing, which is fine. It was a good movie, but it didn't fit
It
with
just- yeah.
what anybody else wanted. So it was like going JJ, Ryan, JJ, it just didn't flow, and JJ kind of retconned half the stuff that, whether intentionally or not, but
I remember, I think you sent me, I don't remember how it was, but you guys were at Celebration and you texted me and you're like, you gotta watch the trailer that they released today. And it was for episode 9. And it was like absolutely amazing hearing Palpatine's, it was like, and there was one line he did, I can't remember now. It's been a while since I watched that trailer, but anyways, it's like, no, Palpatine's back? No, and we're all just like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I was like, this is going to be the best of this series. And although it was Star
fine.
Wars, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like it was just Star Wars, and it was.
But I think
I
it
liked
also
it
had the
be-
issue of Star Wars fans building up
Yeah.
what they wanted it to be in their head.
And it
Like they
wasn't.
wanted Anakin to come back, and I mean, so did I. I think
That
that's
would have been cool, but
cool, but
So, but all that to say, I think what all the series they have. What did they have? Like 12 projects going on.
11.
11.
They announced 10, and then after the Mando trailer or finale, they were like, Book of Boba Fett's coming up too. We didn't want to
Oh,
spoil
that
that.
was a part of the. Okay, so
and
yeah,
then
so
that's
they
on
have-
top of all the games. Apparently, they've got dozens.
They
of
got
games
a
in
crazy
development,
amount of games in development,
and all canon.
And then they released the books.
the High Republic has
High
just
Republic
started.
books.
It's so good.
So
Again, I don't
so
read,
much going on. Yeah, I haven't had time to even dip into your audio.
My
You're like,
my 59 or so
Yeah.
canon books because I have folders in
I think
my.
the last one I listened to was the Thrawn when Timothy Zahn did the new one.
Yeah.
But I haven't had.
And now he's put out one every year since then.
Yeah, so I'm so behind. But it's all good. I don't know. Can you pick? Does it pick her up?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Does it pick her? Our golden retriever. saying,
Whining that
"How
we're not
come-
giving her
How
attention.
How come you're not paying attention to me? Yeah.
What was I going to ask? I totally forgot what I was going to ask.
I don't know if I can help you there.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What was your first memory of, like, you said you watched the movie, like the Attack of the Clones,
In the theater.
in the theater.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
And so what was your first memory or like what tell
Honestly, the scene with all of Padme's dresses, I'm like, oh, okay, that was a awakening for me.
Oh.
That's what I remember the most. I thought also the fact that we saw Yoda fighting was cool.
Oh yeah.
And as a
Yeah.
kid, like there's a lot of people like he shouldn't be flipping around. He should be using the Force. But he was like, no, he's a Jedi. He's a Grand Master. He's like almost 900 years old.
Yeah.
Of course, he's fought with a lightsaber.
Totally.
Or Anakin fighting with 2 lightsabers, or all of Obi-Wan stuff with the cool. I just thought it was cool. And then I think I remember more is Revenge of the Sith, like the initial opening
Yeah.
with the drums going in the background
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And it's funny, it's so similar because when I was 8 watching Star Wars, it was like you didn't know what you were getting into. And all of a sudden, like the music starts and like the da 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 da, and then the screen crawl, and you're like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, laser fire is starting, and it was one of the first movies with Dolby. And so the laser fire started from behind.
Yeah.
And then
With
all of a
the
sudden,
Star Destroyer going.
yeah, with the Star Destroyer going over your head, and then it shows up on the screen. And as an 8-year-old, I'm like, oh my god, oh, this is amazing. And if you look at it now, if you look at the original '77 release, it's cheesy and it's like
It's cheesy now, but it was.
But for then,
It
40,
set the course of modern filmmaking
it
for
did.
the rest.
It totally did. It was. I mean, they created. I mean, Lucasfilm and all the special ILM and
THX.
but just that feeling of this is something that's huge. And then I think I saw the original Star Wars, I think probably 4 or 5 times in the theater. And then several times, like all the movies, the first 3 movies, or the 4, 5, 6. And when Phantom Menace came out, you didn't see that one.
No, because that was the first DVD that we got.
Oh, okay.
Because we just got a DVD player. I think you just got a promotion at Walmart. And so we were like,
So like, hey, the first one.
and no, literally, it was like you got your
saw
promotion,
it from the
and then you were
back.
like, I bought a DVD player. This is gonna be insane. And then you came home and we were like, we got the first DVD we're ever gonna play. It's Phantom Menace.
Okay, that's awesome.
Because I
Because I remember seeing it in a theater, and I was so excited because it was like for the first time we could see what Jedi were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were, when they were on the Trade Federation ship and they jumped from high, like when they jumped out of the ducks or whatever, like you could just see these two little figures go doop, doop, and I'm like, oh, they did a force jump. I was just
well,
like,
even
so
they were
excited.
speed in how they're holding their
Oh,
lightsabers.
yeah.
Like
It was
you're like, man, Luke really didn't know how to handle that
exactly,
lightsaber.
right? And that just reminded me when you said when you saw Yoda started fighting in the second movie or in the
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones, the second movie, and all the stuff that we didn't know prior, like
It added a lot more than people would give it credit for.
oh,
at the time.
totally did. And it's like you can rag on all the political stuff on the first 3 movies.
Ellie.
Jeepers. You can rag on the first 3, but they really did set into place the whole world.
And also, I mean, people are like, why there's so much politics? I'm like, that's the whole point.
That was the whole point.
That's
yeah.
Palpatine took over. That was the whole point of George Lucas's message that democracy could fall and turn into fascism instantly.
Totally.
That was.
I mean, you got to remember that Star Wars started in the '70s, and it was
Ewoks were the Vietnamese. That was.
Yeah, and just everything. It was just every movie in the '70s was a political statement. So. Seriously.
You really don't like not getting attention.
What are you guys doing? You're sitting around the table talking. You
talking
never do that.
Talking to a black stick. Did you fart?
Nope.
No.
I think the dog farted.
Wow. That's nasty.
That's
You don't smell
Ugh.
it? And she leaves. Thank you.
I just think it's funny now. Whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out, it's always the whole thing, except for Mom. She still hasn't seen Star Wars. We all go to the movie theater. It's Grandpa. It's all of us. It's Maddie. It's
whatever exchange trip we have at the time.
Yeah.
And friends. Like
Yeah.
I think what it was.
We usually get like 2 rows of a theater.
Which was the movie that the theater
was
sold
That
out?
was Last Jedi. That
Last
was
Jedi,
the worst
right?
movie going
So-
experience I've ever had.
That was the worst. Totally was the worst, but it was the funnest because we had so many friends there.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter and Bryce were there, Curtis were there, and then the Geddeses were there, and Marnie and Jake, and there was us and Maddie, and
And then we just missed the ending.
and then
So literally, if for people that don't know this story, it literally was right at the end when Luke and Kylo are facing off against each other. The screen died. and then there was
For
nothing.
what, 2 minutes?
2 minutes, and then the sound came back, and then the sound died, and then it came back right when Luke died.
No, the
video came back with no sound.
With no sound. So we just saw Luke disappear.
disappear.
We're like, what? We saw Luke disappeared, Ray lifting up all the rocks.
And there's
We're like,
rocks
what the heck?
happened? And
We got basically free movies for a year.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we milked that one because we had 8 people and we spent money, and so Landmark sent us a lot.
Like at the theater itself, we got all the tickets that we'd bought, just straight up, with free movies, and then we got a concession. Plus, we got we emailed Landmark. They also were like,
you emailed them,
and you emailed
and
them,
then I emailed them.
and we each got our equivalent and stuff. So like, I think between the two of us, we got, I want to say like 40 movies worth.
It was not much.
It was,
But it was a good year.
because I mean,
think it was
we,
like
we
10
didn't pay for a movie for a year
No, I think it was 10 movies.
because there was a couple of 2-for-1 deals that came in with that. That were like, we got a lot,
We
and we went and saw a movie every week.
Yeah, we totally did. So it was good. It was a sucky experience, but my point was it was fun to go into it because there were so many of our friends and
It's
so
like
many.
half the theater was our group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally was. I think there's probably about 15 of us that night.
Then I think it was Last Skywalker.
Rise of
Rise of Skywalker. Where I ended up, you couldn't get through to pre-order tickets.
Yeah,
And I was working elections, and I'm just like under my table,
Yeah.
like pre-order. I'm like, how many do we need? I'm like, 10 it is.
and then we were like, we'll just start giving them away.
Yeah, I was like, we'll use them eventually.
I'm like, my internet's so bad I can't get through. Get the tickets. And then we get there, and the manager's like, oh, you guys are going to trust us with another Star Wars movie, because they knew who we were at this point.
That manager knew Dad well.
That's because we were, well, they were like, you guys were actually the same
So
ones,
the nicer ones of the.
because we were there, like, because of the free
I can only
movies.
imagine how much a full theater of Star Wars fans would react to ruining the end of a movie.
Yeah, I've never been spoiled by a movie before in my life, and that was the moment.
It was brutal.
Is there a story that you would think you would want to see that hasn't been announced yet?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see like Starkiller made canon in some
Maybe,
kind of way.
like toned down a little bit.
They would have to tone it down unless they set it in like much after episode 9 or something, like after a timeline. But it wouldn't make sense for him to be that powerful and
Not-
like
and
have
not
Vader
famous.
train. I think there's too much backstory with Vader now,
Yeah.
where they wouldn't be able to fit in an apprentice. But just some kind of, I mean, give Sam Witwer more
More.
acting, more voice acting opportunities, and it was a good game, and I liked the story. I think it'd be cool to have the Buzang Von,
Who's on?
whatever it's called, some kind of, again, maybe toned down a little bit. Don't kill Chewie, but
What about you, Dad? What is there a story that you want to see that they haven't announced or something like that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Old Republic stuff.
Yeah,
That's probably the top of the list.
that for
actually.
everybody.
Yeah.
Like just Revan and Malik. I mean, Revan is kind of canon from episode 9.
And there's concept
Books,
art
but-
of both Revan, Malik, and Nihilus that were gonna show up in like glyphs in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Plus some of the divisions of Sith troopers in Rise of Skywalker named like
Nihilus.
the
Revan.
Nihilus and Revan unit and
So
stuff.
they're like kind of canon, but
The Bane unit. Bane's been canon for a while, but
yeah, he was canon in Clone Wars.
and at this point I don't even know if I want to see Revan or Malik right away. I want to see the Sith Wars, like just dozens
They
of
just gotta do
Jedi.
Revan before Keanu Reeves gets too old.
Right, he's slated.
Just watch him. They can cast a woman and Star Wars.
Oh, that's
Star Wars
I
fans
want
just riot. I would be fine with it. I don't care. Like I think it would be fine if that's who they chose. But like there would be riots in the street. A black woman. That's what.
a black woman is Darth Revan.
That would be. Oh, that would be
Lesbian
brutal.
black woman. Let's just fit all the categories. For
And Malik is her gay friend. Like
It's an alternate timeline. We're gonna go into the multiverse.
not my Star Wars.
It would happen.
Dude, I'm like just enjoy the movie. Anyway, back to what you.
Yeah, I can't think of. I mean, they're doing everything. I can't think of any specific series or story that I'd like to see. I'm just trying to think back on some of the books, and I mean, like they're doing Rogue Squadron. Yeah, I can't.
I want the guy that did The Crown to do a political set in the Senate between episode 1 and 2. That's what I want.
That'd be kind of boring, but it would be interesting at the same time.
That would be awesome. I want to see
like an 8-episode arc of it's just arguing between the two.
The Trade Federation. But have Palpatine in the background, like being kind of sithy, falling like Bail Organa and stuff like that. I think it'd be cool.
Actually, it'd be kind of fun for them to develop Bail Organa's character more. Yeah. Like when
Jimmy Smits keeps coming back.
He does, and it's like do something like with Alderaan.
Yeah.
You know, prior to it being blown up, and because I mean, it was a major player in the universe.
It was center. It was in the Inner Rim. So
yeah, and so that would be kind of fun for them to develop. Now our favorite, you know, what's her name, Cara Dune, being from Alderaan. That's the closest we've come so far.
Yeah.
But
the motions of a stick.
She's a wrestler. Come on.
So was
Sasha Banks, and she was awesome.
Fine. Who's Sasha Banks?
She was Costco Reed. She was one of Bo-Katan's. She was
the one who got into a fight with Boba.
Oh, right.
Awesome.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like that.
She's awesome.
She's like, yeah.
And I mean, Pedro Pascal has more emotion. He's wearing a helmet, and he just tilts his head. Like, come on.
They gave Grogu more of an emotion. He's a freaking puppet. You're just like, hi.
I know. You know, to be fair, I was hoping that she'd take a bullet.
Yeah, I was really hoping
take a
straight shot. Just please.
Like
but there's no way she's not in the Rangers of the High Republic show.
No,
I just hope she's
the
not
thing is that the acting wasn't the greatest, obviously, but the character itself was
great concept.
Great concept. They could have picked anyone else.
Yeah, it's kind of
just a weird casting, and then I mean, yeah.
Her opinions are like I don't agree with her opinions, obviously. But however,
I'm not going to judge somebody acting off their opinions
or demand them firing for their opinions.
Yeah. Totally.
Like she's an anti-masker, but
she's just not good at acting.
It's funny, she interviews well. It's funny, why can't you transfer your interview anyway? Who knows what's going on in the background, but yeah. It's probably the weakest.
Hopefully they do.
Yeah. Probably the weakest character or the weakest
yes.
Yeah.
In the 2 seasons.
It was Bill Burr, and then they fixed him.
And somehow Bill Burr delivered one of the
emotional,
best acting Star Wars has ever seen.
I was like, I'm feeling emotionally invested in this guy now. It's like
it's his argument for why he has a Boston accent in Star Wars is the funniest thing. He's like, why are they speaking English? Why does a guy have an English accent? Why can't they have a Boston accent? It's like, it's a freaking space movie. Calm down.
No, that's funny.
All right, with that, I think we're at the 50-minute mark. So.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
We're going to talk about video games.
We talked about video games the past 2 podcasts. I was giving a bit of a break.
Well, that's good because I haven't played.
Well, I mean, we play Galaxy of Heroes, and we've been playing for
5 years.
Yeah,
for 5 years now.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
It was Force Awakens.
Anyways.
That's a phone game that you would never think you'd be playing every day of your life.
Never spent so much money on a game. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for putting up with me and filming this. But
yeah, no, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Sorry about the dog.
That's funny. It's not as bad as last week when nobody noticed, but I was cutting out. I made like 17. I made 17 cuts in the last episode.
Wow. Yeah,
And
our internet sucks. It's so bad.
Best having it in live that I'm like, I don't have to worry about lag.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's good. Well, thanks, Andrew.
Bye, everybody.